Good evening. Thank you for joining Basement Politics with Freddy Vazquez. Tonight's guest, Republican candidate James Nolan, Westchester County Legislator for District 15, will be joining me now. Please help me welcome him in.
Hey, how's it going, Freddy?
Good morning. I'm sorry, good morning. Good evening.
Sure.
I just finished putting my kids to bed. Well, trying to get them to bed. And they drive me crazy. I'm all over the place. So I'm trying to gather my thoughts now. But good evening, James. Thank you for joining me on Basement Politics again for the second time. How are you this evening?
Good. You?
I'm doing just fine. Just fine. Now that I got myself together here and got the kids to bed. I want to start out by saying congratulations to you on your recent engagement. You made the announcement, you got engaged. So I want to say hello to your fiance and just send my well wishes to her. And again, I want to make sure I congratulated you. And, the wedding comes after that, right? And then, then the kids, right?
Yes.
At some point. So you'll understand what I'm talking about, trying to gather them up and then put them to bed and stuff. So it's a great thing that I wouldn't trade it for the world. But you'll be hopefully one day doing that real soon. But anyway, I wanted to get into it right away with you. I've been seeing you all over. I've actually seen you walking and campaigning. I've driven by you. I honked one time. I think I mentioned that to you. But I've seen you out there. I've seen your team out there. I've seen the vehicles with the posters out there. So I want to mention that right away. You are working hard. You are campaigning hard. And that just shows a lot of your work ethic and what we can possibly see of you if elected. Tell me a little bit about what's been going on recently.
Well, we've been doing door-to-door tremendously. That's where it's at. Since the beginning of my campaign in February, we've now done about 26,000 doors now.
Wow.
We're actually on our second and third go-around in many of the parts of the district. We've had a lot of volunteers. We had a lot of people that are involved. I have 13 union endorsements. I think that's probably the most in Westchester County now. For any type of race, and it's an honor to have my fellow union members, supporting me on this, and it's been going very well. We get great feedback. I have lost 15 pounds doing this walking. There's sometimes I do an average about 7 miles of walking every weekday. Wow. Weekends, I'm minimum 20 miles a weekend. Wow. Going door to door, meeting constituents, meeting people, just hearing their concerns, doing what we can to be active. And it's going very well. Hard work is paying off.
Yeah, definitely working hard and dedication. That's one thing that I see in you. You're dedicated. You're going out there every day. Like you said, you're walking 7 miles during the week. That's coming. That's after work, right? So you're going to work. Before work. And then you're going to work. Right. Yep. And then you're doing some more work. And then on the weekends, you're doing 20 miles of walking.
20 miles. And then
I gotta say,
if I'm not out there, I have team members out there while I'm working or while I'm at our events. We have a great team that they do what they can and what they have to. In many of the areas, they'll go walking. So it's a great team effort.
Absolutely. And I was just going to mention that your team is just as dedicated. I saw I saw a gentleman. He was driving, I believe, a van. And maybe the sign had fell off it or something, but he pulled over and he was making sure that he got that sign back on there and it was tight and he kept it moving. And I was just like, wow, look at the dedication. I see your guys out there more than anyone else. I don't see any other candidates really out there. I'm not saying they're not saying they're not, but what I'm saying is that you're out there so much and your team is so dedicated and out there that I'm seeing them all over the place. I have seen Moranti's signs and his, the vans and stuff driving around. So I've seen a couple, but you are definitely out there. So I just wanted to mention that, really highlight that, because I think it's important for anyone that's elected to have that work ethic and that dedication to what they're doing. And that's a good sign of things to come if elected. I wanted you just to give me kind of an overview of the area that you are or would be representing if elected. I know you represent some of Yonkers and some and Bronxville, but give us a more detailed idea.
So it's all of Bronxville. It's basically the parts of, like, say, Central Avenue, Tuckahoe Road, Palmer Road, Jackson Avenue, all the way up to Untermeyer Gardens. We have a big district. There's almost about 39 to 40,000 people in the district, and those are the areas that we're covering.
Well, and that's a lot of area. You said all of Bronxville, correct?
Yes.
That's a lot of area and a lot of Yonkers. And I've seen your guys. And I also want to mention, along with hard work, I want to mention that you haven't been elected yet, but that's not have stopped you from pushing forward and getting legislation passed, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of that stuff that you've actually been working on and worked on recently. I want to talk about particularly like the noise ordinance, right? And I've mentioned this because I said I was very grateful for this. I'm someone that was being affected by the noise ordinance and the drag racing on Central Avenue, and you fought hard for that. Tell me a little bit about that.
So after my brother's death in 2015, Yonkers created a law that said that if you're caught drag racing, if you're involved in organizing it, putting together, promoting it, funding it, your car will be confiscated. You're going to face up to 2 weeks in jail. Your car is going to be sold at auction. You're going to hit with a fine. And it was a bad situation. You know, these are things that should not be occurring. This is not Fast and the Furious, you know. And so that we pushed hard on that, and Yonkers passed it in 2017. From there, last year alone during COVID, you know, there was a lot of free time, you know, besides working in the community, doing what I can for frontline workers, union workers, people that needed seniors, homeless. I was pushing the law. So I was pushing the law, and I had it passed in 7 other municipalities, including White Plains, Greenburgh, Yorktown, Tuckahoe, you know, and it goes on from there. So we have 8 municipalities in Westchester that have that law. So then that was the first one. After my brother's death in 2016, I was asked by Yonkers Police to come on to a gun tip hotline. So a gun tip hotline, it was spending $500 per illegal gun to get it off the street. When I got onto the program, I didn't care where I was or who I was talking to. I was putting it out from my nonprofit events. I was going down to like School Street, Slow Bombs, wherever I could to put this out and talk about it. I ended up actually doubling the amount of guns taken off of the street. Illegal guns. Illegal guns are the biggest thing. Let's say I'm all for someone having a Second Amendment right, as long as they're responsible. But the illegal guns are hurting and killing innocent people every single day. So those are the guns we were targeting, and it was so successful that we took it statewide. And after 3 years of pushing, it finally passed as a statewide program. I also was able to work on the gun ghost law, where it's now illegal to build a gun through a 3D printer. I was happy to be involved because, again, it's an illegal gun. It's not traceable. It doesn't have the numbers on it. You know, we don't know where it's coming from or who is responsible for it or who does it belong to. I was also a part of organ donation laws. So one of the laws was, so say if you sign up as an organ donor, and you put it on paper that you want to donate your organs. Unfortunately, when the time comes, there have been people where their families have gone against that and not done it, where people were left waiting or died while waiting. So now there's a law that says that once it's in paper, once you sign off on it, then nobody can change that decision. Like, once you're an organ donor, you're going to be an organ donor. Nobody can change that decision once your time comes. So these are things that I've worked on. I'm very proud of them.
And you should be. And that's why I wanted to mention them because I think it's important. It shows that you are someone who can get things done. It shows that you're someone who follows through. And the reason why I think it's important of highlighting these things is because I am someone that advocates in voting on someone, not because of the party that they belong to, not because they like them, their personality, or because, you know, whatever other reason, but because of their track record. What have they done? What are they doing? Are they going to be someone that's going to go in there and really fight hard and push legislation that is going to be for the people and benefit the people and actually follow through, right? And not just talk about it, but actually be about it. And you've shown that prior to being elected. You haven't been involved in politics prior to this, correct? This is
No.
your first shot at this is
Yeah.
your first time campaigning, and you're really showing a lot to me anyway. And this is my opinion, right? But you're showing a lot to me, and you're showing the poise and the characteristics of a seasoned elected official, and someone who's truly going to be there to work for the people and represent the people. And I believe in you. I talk about you all the time. I truly do. This is not just me saying this for whatever other reason, but to speak honestly about my opinion, how I feel about you. Again, I wanted to go back to the 3D printing thing. Is that really something that should be concerning to, and I'm not saying it, I don't really know much about it, which is why I'm asking. I've seen as you worked on legislation for that, is that something that's a concern, or that's going to become a concern, or you see it, being an issue we should be concerned with?
It was a concern. I know there was different situations. I don't think necessarily in New York, but in different states, where people were building these illegal guns on a 3D printer, and they're not detectable if you go through a scanner or stuff like that. So it was a concern, and I know there were times that they said, "Listen, if you want to be able to do this, you got to put a serial number on it." People push back, saying, "Well, that's not fair. That's so it's illegal. It's a serious problem because it's a gun that we can't be traced. We don't know who it belongs to. We don't know where it's going, what it's doing." And like I said, I'm all for someone's rights, constitutional rights, but if it's coming down to it, it's putting people on harm and risk. That's something that I can't allow. And I know this from an instance for being in a circumstance where I lost my brother to illegal gun violence. So I don't want nobody to go through this. It's not fun. It's a horrible thing. We just passed on his 6-year anniversary, and it's a tragic thing. And I don't want nobody to go through that. If you want to have, a gun, be responsible for it, so be it. You want to, have it for hunting or protect your family, as long as you're responsible. It's not my worry. The illegal guns were hurting people, and that's what we're trying to crack down on.
And I agree with you there. I agree with responsible gun ownership. I'm a big proponent of that. I believe that responsible gun owners, should be allowed to have, licensed firearms. And I agree with you. 3D printing of guns is a dangerous thing. It's a concern that everyone should have, that someone can just print up a gun and use it to kill someone. That's a very real concern. And I'm glad that you're on it and you're working on that stuff. Again, that just further shows who you are and what you're doing and the things that you're thinking about in terms of our safety and the safety of your constituents and the people of Yonkers, Bronxville, and Westchester as a whole, in the state of New York. And I also want to go to talk about a little bit about the noise ordinance, right? I'm a guy that loves cars. I love loud exhaust on cars. Usually the ones I'm driving are custom, not custom, I'm sorry, stock.
Yeah, I saw one of them.
Yeah, they're not custom. Well, actually, that one had a little work on it, but usually they're loud even when they're stock, right? But I also understand, the loud, annoying, irritating, and bothersome noise that some of these custom exhausts have, and that people are putting on them, and driving them up and down Central Avenue late at night, 12 o'clock. I know. Again, I was having to deal with that for a while until I believe you came along, right? So, tell me a little bit about that noise ordinance law that you helped push forward.
Well, it's part of the drug racing confiscation law that we had passed back in 2017. It's a part of it that, if a police officer is called or just comes across someone that has a really loud exhaust, that they have the right to issue a summons. And if the car is modified, and because it's about the quality of life. You hear this 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's kids that can't sleep, or people that have to get up in the morning, or listen. There's a time and a place for everything, but 1 o'clock in the morning that's not the time and place. Right. It's been very effective. It's been working. Actually, my opponent's trying to undercut me right now with a $125,000 study that's just wasting taxpayer money. It's not including that the cost of the equipment, the manpower, everything else, so that nothing's going to come from it. It's just spending $125,000 on studying loud cars. We could better use that money in different situations for better purposes, especially coming out of COVID. So there's different things. Like I said, that my opponent has that 125,000 study that where she wants to give tickets automatically through a camera. I feel like there's too many cameras now that, like how much oversight do we have to have for the government over people? We shouldn't have that. What if we have a car that's just naturally loud because it's old? What if it's a siren? Some of these cameras now that you read up on them, they actually go off automatically in the cold winter. So I feel like $125,000 study can go to a better use. Like I said, coming out of COVID, we could use that in better ways for the residents.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with the cameras. I'm already not liking the idea of the speed cameras that they have in the city. If you go into the Bronx, I don't know if we have them here in Yonkers yet. I know we have the red light cameras, which actually there's studies that show that the red light cameras actually cause more accidents as people, get scared of getting a ticket, so they jam their brakes at the last minute and causes someone to rear end them. But I don't see why you would need to spend $100 something for a study, and what you've done I think is fine. I think a police officer can make his own judgment if he hears a car that's loud or people are giving complaints. I think that's enough. Again, I think just adding those cameras are just more about surveillance than anything else, but that's my whole other, I don't want to get into that. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you also did during the pandemic. You organized over 50 food drives and PPE equipment drives for essential workers. You are life. I also want to mention you're a community activist, and you've also are the president and founder of the Michael Nolan Foundation, in which you use that as a vehicle to further do community work, such as the food drives and the PPE drives. Tell me a little bit about the organization and what they have been doing recently.
Well, I'm the founder of it. I started after my brother's passing. So we first started off with scholarships. We're about 30 scholarships since 2016 now. We got a great amount of kids from Yonkers Public Schools that, that request, that need it. These are hardworking kids and they just want to do what's right. I'm actually, I mentor a lot of these kids as well. And, they're great kids. I stay on top of them like a big brother, make sure they do their studies, their homework, whatever the case may be, or just if they want to talk to somebody. So since then, I've also taken kids to the Derek Jeter Youth Summit in Philadelphia, where we spent 4 days learning about healthy living, homelessness, just different classes. And it's a good thing. And I wanted to make it an annual thing that would happen every year. We bring kids to meet Derek Jeter and also just learn about all these different topics and come across people from California, Michigan, and Florida. And then they work together and they have a better understanding of how things are in different states. Well, then COVID happened. So then last year with the foundation, what I did was I couldn't just sit back. I couldn't. That's not what I'm here for. I actually started for my girlfriend at the time, who is now my fiance. She had COVID very bad. I wanted to do something to pay it forward for the doctors and nurses. Like, God forbid she got worse. I wanted, God to see it as like, what, he helped them, let's help her. And thankfully she recovered very well. So we started off and I just wanted to do 3 food and PPE drives for 3 different hospitals. But then it picked up so much momentum. I ended up doing about 60 food and PPE drives. Now leave to hospital workers, doctors' offices, unions, police, fire, homeless, seniors. So it went very well. We donated thousands of pieces of PPE, masks, gowns, sanitizer, whatever we could to get our hands on. We came out of pocket for a lot of stuff with that. And then just provided meals to people that needed it. There was many times I was called that I would deliver groceries to seniors that didn't have food for like days. These are things that are, near and dear to my heart. And I had to make sure that we did something just to play a part to make it, get us through it. I also, last year through the foundation, I was able to get 4,600 blankets, and I donated throughout Yonkers, different parts of Yonkers, White Plains, Mount Vernon, whoever needed it. And at first people started laughing, like, oh, who's going to need a blanket? But at the end of it, when I added up, it was like over 4,000 blankets. And It went so well, like, because we have a homeless problem. We have a homeless problem that county is not addressing. They're ignoring it. They're passing it off into the inner cities. And it's not fair. Listen, you should stop pointing the fingers and work with the cities to make sure that this happens. Like, at the end of the day, if it's a county resident or a Yonkers resident, Mount Vernon, wherever, where we all live in the same place. Every elected official should work together. Like, okay, what do we have to do to help these people? So then I also did a toy drive, which I loved the toy drive, and it helped a lot of kids. And like I said, whatever we could do to help, we've been instrumental on advocating for a lot of things, and we're going to keep it going.
And I believe that, and I believe you will keep it going. And you've been going since I've started following you, and you're very dedicated, and you're very motivated, and you work hard. I want to go back to the homelessness problem that we have here in the city of Yonkers. And I know that you're not running to represent the district on the county side, at least, where and not that that's only the area of Yonkers that you may see homelessness, but we've seen, in particular, I've seen an increase in the homelessness population in the Getty Square area. I've noticed that many of them have mental health issues as well as drug addiction problems. Now, what would you do? And again, you wouldn't be running for that district, but how would you, Jimmy Nolan, if elected for District 16, play a
15.
role? I'm sorry, 15. I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
I'm thinking of the district that area of Getty Square that I'm talking about. But as Jimmy Nolan running for District 15, how would you play a part in finding a solution to the overall homelessness problem in Yonkers? And if I'm not sure what Bronxville's it's like, but definitely here in Yonkers, how would you be able to help that?
What I like to do is I would like to take a look at the finances, go do it where we could better manage the money. And then that's the first step. Then we can go. I would like to not personally, but I would like to create a program. At least have a building, and we take these homeless people in, or people are just, they're about to run out of their luck and they need help. And because sometimes homelessness is, mental illness. So we get them in this program. We provide a room for them. They can't have friends and parties over. They get a room, they get a TV, a bed, and that's where they stay. But what they have to do is to maintain the program. They have to get a job, and with the job that progress for, they got to be in by a certain time. They got to maintain all the rules, and we help them. We have counselors on, but these are things that we can be doing because sometimes you can help them if they have mental illness, And I personally feel that is something that could help go a long way. It could be a public-private partnership. There's many programs and companies that actually do it, and that is something that I would like to look further into. I've been talking about it for a while now because, like down New York City, they were shipping a lot of homeless up to us. And, Westchester County could have brought the idea of, bring up a lawsuit against New York City because we're getting the people dropped off to us, but we don't know about it. And then we don't know what's going on. It could be a rise in crime. There could be a cost, to stop that from happening. We shouldn't be pointing fingers. Like I said, we should be helping one another. At the end of the day, the residents and constituents are the ones feeling the effects. They're the ones being shortchanged. They're the ones being hurt by this. So I feel like we should look at the finances, look where we could better spend money and create some type of program to bring them in, get them jobs, get them back on their feet, help them with medically or psychologically, whatever we could do to get them back on the feet. That's what I would like to bring up.
I like that idea, and I think that you will be definitely working on that if elected. So, and if for those who are listening to this or will be listening to this at a later time, and are are someone that's concerned about the homelessness problem that we are seeing here in the city of Yonkers, I want to make sure you hear what James Nolan here just said. And going back to what I was saying about when you vote for someone, make sure you look at their track record. You see what they are looking to do, and are they someone capable of doing it and actually getting it done? Have they gotten stuff done before? And I just want to reiterate that because it's so important. We've had a lot of issues that have been brought up recently in Yonkers, Westchester County, and one of the recent issues that I've been talking about is the lack of, and I'm going to shift gears a little bit here, is the lack of the use of local labor in the developments going up here, particularly in the Yonkers, but not just in Yonkers, throughout Westchester County. You are a supporter of the unions. You've mentioned that before. You're in a union as well. How do you feel about that? What is your, opinion or your assessment of what's been happening here in Westchester with developments and local labor?
Well, like I said, I might be a little biased, but I'm a union member for 12 years. I grew up in a union family, and I know a lot of union members and union families. But I personally feel that the development should be union, and we should look to have something in place that benefits both sides. Instead of breaking the bank for one side, we should do what's best for the people. Many of the union members, they don't feel like they have a voice right now. They don't feel like someone's at the table helping them. My opponent's the co-chair of the labor board, and they feel neglected. I feel like nobody's there, and that is something I want to make sure that I bring forward, and do what I can to help labor. Labor, is very near and dear to my heart. I'm always going to be a laborman. Listen, I started off with going down the 4 train down to the city. I've done construction. I've done ceilings. I was the guy sitting on the sidewalk in a bucket at lunchtime. These are things that I understand from the inside. And I've been a union member for the last 12 years now. I see it from the inside, how they try and take from us and want us to do more. But it should be a balance between met from both sides. For the municipality and the union, it shouldn't be, well, we're going to give more. We want this more. It should be what's in the best interest of the people. We need to meet in the middle, because that's the only way we're going to, begin to rebuild. We can't go back to the way we were before COVID. We got to have a new beginning now, and this is where we can set that.
Absolutely. And I actually, again, because you're a big supporter of union, you're in a union. And recently I've done a podcast on the IDAs, right? The Industrial Development Agencies. I spoke particularly about the YIDA and the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency, and how they play a role in the development start going up. But more importantly, the purpose of the IDAs are to encourage, create, promote jobs, right? The creation of jobs and job retention. And it's they do that for the area that they serve, right? So the Westchester IDA would, for Westchester County, Yonkers IDA specifically would work to serve the residents of the city of Yonkers, because that's the area it serves. And I've, in speaking with some of the union members, they've told me that they have not received any work. I think it was the project, the fire department over there, School Street, the new fire department. But other than that, they haven't received any. And I wanted to ask, when speaking with you, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about that? If you were aware of that, and what would you do? Are you, if elected, are you going to look into that, particularly if these developments are receiving benefits from the IDAs?
Well, I do feel that it's something to look into. Like I said, it has to be a balance from both sides: municipality, the government, and the unions. Developers. So it's in the best interest of the people. And I would like to go forward with looking into, what for the best quality work. We shouldn't look for the cheapest work. We should look for the best quality work. Trained workers, labor. They bring a special, unique quality and trained, profession to the board, to everybody. It's safety, if it's having it done on the right budget, if it's on time. These are things that matter, especially when the union. 9 times out of 10, when it's a union job, it's done before the deadline. You can actually, with union, most of the time, actually come in with a cheaper cost than what the original estimate was, just because of the quality that is brought to it. Like I said, I've worked on a job sites before where you're absolutely amazed compared to someone who's just brought in and shown, okay, try and figure this out. So that's something we can look into, especially with the IDAs, to restructure it so it's a lot more fair.
Perfect. I agree with that. Definitely something that and I'm going to be talking to some of the members of Local 456 here coming up in an episode of Basement Politics. Moving on, I want to ask a question from viewers. Melissa Green, thank you for your question. What do you think would be the challenges in creating programs to stop financial crisis, helpless and low-income household? political wise, what do you think would be the challenges in creating programs to stop financial crisis in low income households? I guess how to create programs to improve, I guess, the financial situations of those living in low income housing, or
Well, like
not
I
just
said,
low income housing, but are considered low income households.
well, what we could do is you could look, like I said, always first step is look at the budget that we have on hand. One thing I would like to do is look at an inspector general's position and bring it to Westchester County to go through oversight of transactions and where we could better use the money to help the people. Instead of just raising taxes to provide programs, let's look at the budget. I'm a firm believer. Let's live within our means. So if we can see where, okay, we can save money here without cutting jobs and put it here to help, the people on the low income, that could help go a long way. Like, listen, this is the hardest time we're probably ever going to see in our lives, especially. So we got to start setting an example of how we're going to better create the future. So if there's ways we can create programs and assistance, then we have to look into that. And that is something that it's not a Republican Democrat issue. It's a quality of life issue, and that's where we have to meet in the middle and help the people. And that's the one thing that I'm a firm believer is the residents are the boss. So if they're demanding something from us, and listen, we can't make everybody happy. We can't promise the world, but if we can get as close as possible to it, then we should try.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. The people are the boss when it comes to the government. And so I'm a big firm believer, and I just want to emphasize that. Another question for Carolyn Marie. Thank you for your question. Do you have intentions on assisting seniors and getting the paratransit fee reduced?
I would like to. Like I said, I know my grandparents, they have a hard time getting around. So if there's some way we could ask or find, not even ask, try and work with the federal government and try and provide assistance to a lot of them, because, Social Security, sometimes it's not easy, with living on that one income or their pension. So that is something that we should definitely take into consideration. And like I said, back to square one. I know social services has a big department in Westchester County. We could look to provide that into the budget of providing X amount of dollars if it's possible, like I said, without banging the taxpayers over the head, and to get the assistance needed for the senior citizens.
Now, before I wrap it up, we're getting past the half-hour mark here. I do want to talk about your opponent. What is it that separates you, and why did James Nolan get into the race? Why did you feel that you needed to represent District 15?
Well, I was born here. I grew up here. I went to school here. I lived here my whole life. I unfortunately lost my brother here, but I'm never going to turn my back on here. I am now engaged. I want to have children. I want to raise them here. I am Yonkers through and through. Like, Yonkers runs through my blood. My entire life, like I said, I've seen every side of Yonkers. There's sometimes that I've been over by Central Avenue. I knew people over there, or over down by School Street. I've seen every aspect of Yonkers. I know people on every side. And last year alone, it really showed that there was a voice that was needed. Not many, but some elected officials forgot about where they came from and why this job was so important. Because it's not even a job anymore. It's a passion. Public service, if you're a public figure or elected official, it's a passion. It's a calling. And some people forgot about that. Like I said, I've lived here my entire life. So it becomes frustrating when an elected official who lives in a different part of the district is trying to say, well, Yonkers needs this and Yonkers needs that, but you don't live here. Like, so when I hear someone trying to advocate for like a bail reform, but they never lost a sibling or a child to violence, and then say that the bail reform is good and good and good, but then you don't address the rising crime because you live on a different part of the district, it's concerning, because crime is up. Like, we're not going to neglect that. It has to be addressed. Public safety is an issue. That is something that has to be said more and more. And, it gets to the point that you stop asking, why me? And it becomes, well, why not me? I've been so involved in the community. And like I said, I can't promise to fix everything. I really can't. I'll never promise I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. It's not possible. Whoever promises on this scale to I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, You know, it's just that was part of the old mind frame. Well, we're going to promise this, we're going to promise that because it sounds good. But at the end of the day, you can't make everybody happy. Like, I will continue working every day tirelessly. I will continue walking even after election day when I'm elected to work for the constituents. I want to know what is going on, what I could do to help. Like I said, I can't emphasize it more. You know, the seniors, they feel forgotten about. Union members feel abandoned. You know, we have a homeless problem that's growing. We have crime that's growing. But, you know, some people just keep sweeping under the rug. Can't do this anymore. You know, like, if we have union jobs that are, you know, union members that are feeling neglected, we have first responders that are feeling like they're being victimized, we have crime that's rising, it has to get to the point that there has to be somebody that says, okay, enough already. We gotta somehow get this together, fix this, address this, because if not, Westchester is no longer going to be affordable because property taxes is going up, affordability is going up, infrastructure is falling apart, crime is going up. People are going to start leaving Westchester. Yonkers is the third biggest city, and that's great. But if we don't start to begin this, people are going to start to say, well, can I get a better quality of life somewhere else? No, we got to keep people here. We have to do what we have to do for the people here that we have. We got to keep them here. And like I said, you're never going to make anybody happy. But if you can go as close as possible to it, if you make that effort, you make changes here and there, it makes a difference. You know, like that's why I'm running, because like I said, this is my home. It's going to be my home for a long time. And I just want to make a difference.
And I see you already making a difference, and I appreciate that. Definitely, you've been working hard, and you are a lifelong resident of Yonkers. That is true. A graduate of Saunders High School, correct?
Yeah.
Alum there. And let's go to the bail reform. Just quickly tell me how you stand about bail reform. What do you want to see in terms of that? In terms of bail reform.
On the county level, there's not much you can do because it's a statewide program. It's a statewide law. But I personally feel that if someone is a physical threat to somebody else, if they're violent and it's not proven self-defense, you know, they were trying to purposely hurt somebody, kill somebody, rob somebody, there needs to be cash. There needs to be something that holds them responsible, because we've seen plenty of times on the news how they got out because no bail, and then they did something just as worse or the same. We can no longer keep repeating the cycle. Listen, if someone does something like small, that's non-violent, you know what? I get it. Tell them, release them, tell them to come back to court. We'll figure this out. But if it's something that is somebody that's going to purposely put somebody in danger or themselves, we have to hold them responsible, you know, because you're not just going to protect other people. You're going to protect them. You're going to protect their families also from going through the pain of watching the loved one in jail. But also, like I said, my brother was killed because of gun violence, illegal gun violence, right? Before the bail reform was passed, my brother's shooter was 17 years old. Not many people know that 2 weeks before that, he was let go because stop and frisk couldn't hold him. He was 17 years old. He was underage, and he was a suspect in an attempted robbery. So if that would have stopped him then, my brother could have been alive. There's a trail to this. It's a long line of effects. So these are things like the bail reform. If you're violent, if you're a danger, then we need to hold you or you need to have the cash bail. If you're non-violent, so be it. You know what? Release them, tell them to come back to court, community service. You got to do this, you got to do that. But there has to come a line where we start separating it and start doing what's right to protect our people.
I completely agree with that. I definitely see that there is a need for something to be done. We've seen gun violence happening more often, and we can attribute some of that, right? I guess, to the pandemic, as you see crime in general just increase as a result of the pandemic. But we definitely have to address it. And as a gentleman I used to work with once would say, you have to nip it in the bud, right? You have to get on it right away, and you can't allow it to just continue without addressing it in any way. Otherwise, we're just going to have a serious problem. And I appreciate the fact that you are someone who takes that very seriously. And I understand that you had to deal with the tragic loss of your brother, and that's something that definitely made it important to you to address. And I can honor that, and I respect that a lot. And I want to ask you, how do you feel when you see the the lights at City Hall and the tower there lit up in memory of your brother? I saw you posted a picture up the other day on Facebook. I thought it was great. How does that make you feel? I know it's something still that you won't have to go through or want to see, but to have the city of Yonkers recognize your brother in that way and honor him in that way, how does that make you feel?
It's an honor. It really is, because my brother meant a lot to a lot of people, and I've done my best to do what I can to keep his memory alive and just try and protect other people from going through what we have. But it's also a bittersweet reminder. Like, it's great that he's being honored that way, but then it hurts. It's a reminder that it's been 6 years, and it's like, wow, like this is actually real. Like, no matter how much time goes by, you still think to yourself once or twice sometimes, like, wow, this really happened. Like, my life was changed. I lost my brother, and my mother lost a son. It hurts. So I try and do positive, and I see it as a positive that he means a lot to a lot of people, and he always will. And a lot of good is coming from him, and just whoever we could help. So I try and see the upside to it.
I just send my best to the family, mom, dad, and the rest of your family there. I just wanted to acknowledge that, and definitely honor his memory as well. I just want to go to one more question, and then I'll let you kind of just say your final thing, anything you want to say before we wrap it up here. Erwin Vasquez, actually my cousin of mine. County legislators pass what type of legislation that help or hurt the constituency? I'm sorry, county legislators pass what type of legislation that help or hurt the constituency? I'm not sure. Go ahead,
yeah.
John.
Like property taxes. Property taxes is always a thing that is trying to be raised. You talk about it. We can no longer just keep raising taxes all the time, or the sales tax. We have to keep the money here. We have to keep businesses open. We have to keep homes from being sold. Like, listen, if someone wants to leave just because, they move into a different state for a job or be close to the family, that's so be it. But we can no longer keep raising taxes, and people just can't afford it. I'm hearing a lot of seniors starting to talk about, I don't know if I can afford to live here anymore. And they've lived here all their lives. It's that is something that, we keep raising it. We keep raising it. We keep raising it. We're hurting the base. We're hurting the people that have built this county, this city, these cities. And you no longer do that, because it hurts. It hurts a lot. Like, especially if you have, like, say, a family that's, working hard, both parents, or if you have a single parent, or if you have a senior, like, for instance, now people not working. So, we can no longer bang them over the head. We have to hold the line on taxes, because it hurts. It hurts a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Republican candidate James Nolan for Westchester County Legislator District 15. Before I let you go, James, and I appreciate you coming on the show, and again, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to leave, the last message you want to leave, or those that are viewing this today, tonight, and those that will see this tomorrow or at a later date? Here's your chance to let the constituents that you would be representing, if elected, know why they should vote for you.
I like I said before, I've lived here my entire life and grew up here. I just want to make it a better place. Want to do what's needed. Like I said, I felt like the district in Westchester County was missing a voice at times. This is why I want to step up to the plate. I feel I bring a unique perspective. I'm looking forward to being the only active union member on the board. Like I said, but it goes past that. I want to try and bring back programs for kids. We're very limited on programs from kids. I want to bring that back. We have parks that are falling apart. The infrastructure is, needs to be addressed. Like, these are things we got to get back to square one. And there's little things like addressing crime, Crime has gone up. Affordability, infrastructure. We have roads and, you know, different areas that need to be addressed. You know, they're falling apart. Like this is it's discouraging at times to see how some elected officials neglect it. They're in the position, or could be in the position, to advocate. You know, like I said, they can't fix everything. They're one person. It takes time, but they can provide a voice. They could be vocal. They can go to different people and ask, like, what concerns do you have? And you know what? I've said it many times. You can't promise everything, but if you could address what you can and put the best effort forward, it'll show. And that's what I want to do. And you know, I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I'm excited about this. You know, I want to do what I can just to help my home. You know, this is something that is near and dear to my heart, public service. And you know, it's not it has been about the politics for me. It's about being a public servant. That's what it's about. I want to serve the people. Listen, when I am elected on November 2nd, you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, non, whatever your party affiliation is, I'm going to be representing you. I'm going to be working for you. So I want to put the best case forward. And then in 2 years, if I have the opportunity to run for re-election, I would really like, you know, to keep going forward. I really like to look back and say, I made a difference. I did what I could, and I made this a better place for everybody.
James Nolan, Republican candidate for Westchester County Legislator District 15. The man has been working hard. I've been seeing him. I've been seeing his team out there. He's campaigning. He wants to win. He wants to represent the people, but not because he wants to be county legislator, because he truly wants to make a difference. He truly wants to represent the people, and he truly sees that there is a need. You heard James Nolan tonight, and you heard what he has to say. You can also go on to his websites and social media accounts and hear more of his platform. And you have to make the decision come November. James, thank you. I appreciate you coming on the show tonight. It's been a pleasure as always. I truly mean what I say, everything that I say about you, you know, and everything I mentioned to other people. Great guy as always. Best of luck, you know, and we'll see what happens in November. Enjoy. Thank you for joining me. Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wrong sound effect. There we go. Thank you, folks, for joining me tonight. That was James Nolan, Republican candidate for Westchester County Legislator, District 15. Next week, Monday, no one, but Tuesday, I will have the interview with Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, Democratic candidate for City Council President. That one won't be live, but it will be posted on the show, on the podcast page, Facebook page Tuesday at 8. We're going to pre-record that one, but you'll see why. So you have to watch Tuesday at 8. And then again, we're locking in some dates for Councilman Rubo, Judge Thomas Quillones, and also the members of Local 456 will be joining me to discuss the lack of involvement work in these developments going up. They're receiving YIDA benefits, and IDA benefits, why are they not hiring local labor? Let's find out. Let's talk about it coming up next week. Don't forget to join me, Freddy Vazquez, on Basement Politics. Thank you, folks. Enjoy your evening. Have a good night.
Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vazquez.